Next up on WTV, The Importance of Reading, a project to understand a classic novel. WTV's Daily Update starts now. Good morning, Red Hawk Nation. Today is Wednesday, January 9th, and I'm Mike Glover with today's Daily Update brought to you by Wingspan TV. As students get older, reading often gets put on the back burner. However, the benefits of reading for leisure transcend age. WTV's Manuki Matus has the story.
Many students remember a greater weight being placed on reading for pleasure in elementary school than high school. With the workload from classes, most students either can't find the time to read or simply do not see the relevance.
I think they've definitely reduced the stress on how much we should be reading, because everything that we're reading today in class is something that we have to read. It's almost like a forced reading instead of reading for enjoyment, which is how I believe that it should be.
However, an article by OneWorldLiteracyFoundation.org calls on the benefits of reading as being a vital skill in being able to function in today's society, as well as helping to expand the mind and develop imagination, and that a person who knows how to read can educate themselves in any area of life they see fit. AP Lang teacher Swapna Gardner enjoys reading and sees a direct benefit in her writing due to it.
I became an English teacher because I love reading so much, because I like writing so much. I like to read good writers because I start absorbing what their writing is like. Like right now I'm reading Fahrenheit 451 and his writing style is so beautiful. So I love reading that because I know after I read it for a while, I'll start using it in my own writing.
So if reading holds a heavy weight on the growth and development of people of all ages, why is it seemingly disappearing from the school system? Most teachers and students chalk it up to a lack of time or the stress of impending grades. Head enjoys and greatly values reading and aims to help nurture it in her club, the Student Committee for Literary Arts.
Each week we learn about authors and we learn about a certain element of writing that will hopefully help us just to create our own writing styles and just increase our abilities as writers, as readers, and almost transports you to a new kind of place where you can experience things that you might not be able to experience here in a school environment. Something that's a little bit more creative, a little more out of this world than the mundane society we live in today.
Some teachers on campus are aiming to change that bit by bit, such as Gardner, who attempts to reincorporate reading into the curriculum by adding 10 minutes in the beginning of class every day, even though the AP Lang course does not put a heavy weight on independent reading.
So that was something I started last year when I was teaching, and it was actually like an English teacher conference that inspired me to do it. The person that was leading the conference told us that it's important to think of reading as a skill that needs to be developed over time, and we need to practice it just as a skill. So he suggested having reading time every day, and he's used to teachers saying, well, I never have time for that. So he gave us a schedule of if you have a 90-minute class period, here's how you would spread apart that time. And so he suggested just doing 10 minutes at the very beginning of a class every day. So I stuck to that last year, and I was able to stick to it for the most part.
School librarian Chelsea Hamilton also agrees that reading should still play a major part in learning.
One of the main benefits of reading is the more that you read, the better that you write. So it directly correlates with your classes and anything that you're doing, and it also helps process anything that you see in your speaking. So it's all of your reading, speaking, writing, all that is tied together, and it also helps with your imagination. I think reading should definitely be enforced from pre-K all the way through college, because it helps your imagination, it helps you with school, and it helps you just kind of relax and decompress. Just it'll really be beneficial in all of the content areas, not just English.
This is Manuki Matus reporting for WTV.
Students traveled back to the 1930s to better understand a book they just started reading. WTV's Kavya Srinivas has the details.
Pre-AP English classes spent some time looking more like history classes, as students spent a couple of weeks before break learning about the 1930s.
To Kill a Mockingbird is such a classic 9th grade selection, and I think with good reason. It has a really rich literary American lit tradition. It tells us a lot about where we came from in terms of our practices of segregation after the Civil War, but before the Civil Rights Movement. And I think that's still a really relevant discussion today as we seek to just really bridge our feelings about races in our culture. We're doing this project because in order to really have an appreciation for the novel, you have to kind of know the context where it's set. I think a lot of students don't have that context yet because, especially as freshmen, they've had American history in 8th grade, but they haven't taken the 11th grade class that kind of gets to that more modern history. And so I think that they are. It's important for them to know what was happening in that period so that they're able to understand the events in the novel and also see that while it is a fictional piece, it's something that is rooted in a lot of actual history. And I think that builds up a lot of empathy before we start reading.
Students are expected to spend the next 2 weeks reading the classic book written by Harper Lee. Reporting for WTV, I'm Kavya Srinivas.
WTV Sports brings you the latest from campus athletics.
First up last night, girls basketball faced off against Lebanon Trail to open up the second round of district play. After a dominating overall performance, including no points allowed in the second half, the Redhawks took down the Trailblazers by a final score of 52-10. Senior Randy Thompson put up a game-high 16 points in the win. On the boys' side, the team squared off against Lebanon Trail as well, handling them in similar fashion. Led by senior Zion Richardson with 17 points, the Redhawks went on to win the game 77-46. Both teams traveled to Heritage on Friday for their next matchup, with girls tipping off at 6 and guys at 7:15. On the field, boys soccer fell to Greenville by a score of 5-3 in their final tune-up before district play. Despite the loss, the team takes a 3-1 record into their opening district matchup against Memorial at the Star on Friday at 7:15. For Wingspan TV, I'm Carter Brock.
If you're looking for more from Wingspan, you can follow us at Liberty Wingspan on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or visit our award-winning website, libertywingspan.com. Please stay tuned for today's announcements.
NHS is a meeting today during advisory in the auditorium. If you have any announcements for the WTV Daily Update, please email libertywingspanstaff@gmail.com.
That's it for today's Daily Update. This is Wade Glover for Wingspan TV.